What's up, guys? Welcome to the Saturday show. Now on Saturdays, I like to go back through the week of Newswave and take a look at what you guys had to say based on the different topics. It's a lot of fun just to see what's going on in the comments and everything. And today, instead of doing a piece of news, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about Super Mario Party on the Nintendo Switch, mostly because I saw on Twitter and other places on YouTube and everything, people weren't 100% sure about this game before they bought it, and then they found out different things about the game and seemed like almost regretful with their decision to buy the game. So I wanted to give you guys some of my quick impressions. I played it all last night, and I had some concerns about the game and some things I liked, but there's some interesting decisions made here by Nintendo, to say the least. So let me talk about it here for a minute. First of all, I like the minigames. The minigames are, I think, good. I'm trying to figure out where I would place it in the rankings for different Mario parties. This one's definitely up there, and I think that's why it's like the second highest reviewed Mario Party, because when it gets down to it, you're playing with friends in the same room. It's pretty good overall. The minigames are fun. The boards, though, I have to admit, none of them are super memorable. I don't know. They're very almost plain but decorated. It's kind of hard to describe. That kind of comes to one of the issues, though. When you first start it up, you have your choice of 3 boards and then a 4th one, which is unlockable. So as far as I can tell so far, after so many hours of playing it, it looks like there's just 4 boards, which is not a lot. That's actually, I think, the least amount of boards that any one Mario Party has. Definitely when you start it up. But like overall, like I remember some of the older Mario parties had 6 to 8. Now when you got up to the Wii U, things kind of went off a cliff. And this game is miles better than the Wii U games, absolutely, since it's traditional Mario Party. But then you get to things like the online play, which is it's something, I guess. They have 10 mini games picked out, and then they randomly select them, and you play against other people. I mean, you can play against random people, which is cool, or people on your friends list, but you don't play Mario Party online like you would typically think with the board game setup and everything. It's just some of the mini games, not even all of them, just like a very small selection of them. And I will admit, I could see why some people would think that that's fine, because most people aren't going to play all the way through a game of Mario Party, since at minimum it takes an hour, and at max it takes 3 hours. But the option, why not? Like, why wouldn't you have the option there? I watched Wood and Sean try to do that online, to do just that, and they couldn't. They realized that there was no online multiplayer option, and for $60, why not? Why wouldn't you have it there? Maybe you'll never use it because you'll never finish a game with random people online, but there could come a point in time where you and your friends might just want to play Mario Party, and you could do it online fairly easily, especially if your friends live far away from you and can't come over. It's weird. It's just an odd decision nowadays when online should be prominent. I mean, you pay for an online service with Nintendo now, so why wouldn't they have it as a big feature for Mario Party in a multiplayer-centric game? But that's just the way they went with it. Now, one of the other criticisms going in by a lot of people is that you only use the Joy-Con, but to be honest, I think it's actually kind of neat because they do a lot of cool things with the Joy-Con. It's really neat to see all the little features and stuff they do, and kind of how they use it in different mini games. Sure, it is a lot of motion controls, but I don't know, it's fun. It's just fun. Now, it's pretty cool because when you have your turn, the rumble motor will kind of, it'll vibrate in a way that makes actual noise. Now, other games have done this. I know Kirby, the end of Kirby, they even played a whole song. I think I remember Golf Story even doing it at times, but this was just cool. I forgot about it, to be honest, up until it was my turn with that. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot you can make noise with the rumble motor in the Switch Joy-Con controller, so it's kind of neat. I'm going to play more of this game as I unlock stuff and you play through, and I guess we might review it here. I don't know. I'm going to be honest, I'm disappointed by the lack of content when it comes to the amount of boards, since there's only 4. Well, you know what's going to happen. Nintendo will update this going forward, so this might be a situation where if you're not feeling the single-player idea of Mario Party because you don't have a lot of people around you to play against and you're hoping for online, might be something you push off for a little while and maybe focus on some other games coming out in this holiday. But just putting it out there, some of my impressions, and I'm sure I'll talk about it more on the podcast tonight. And starting with the week of Newswave, on Monday, went over the published odds for FIFA 19 loot boxes. The odds appear to be really low, specifically when looking at the top tier players that have a less than 1% chance to drop. Patrick says the best part about the FIFA loot box is that all the players who spent $100 on don't transfer to next year's game, so you get to do it all over again. How exciting is that? Talk about a good replayability mechanic. You know, this is something that's always confused me at times is, you're right, they don't transfer anything. You have to redo it. And yeah, some people actually get excited to be able to do that again. Ultimate Team, I think, is just because of its addicting nature. Maybe people are excited because the new game comes out and everyone has to restart, so their friend who had the legendary players in FIFA 18, well, now we're back to 0 in FIFA 19. But it is, if you really sit down and think about it, one of the biggest, would you say scam? I guess you could say scam. You know what you're getting into necessarily now with the loot box odds, but it is amazing that EA has been able to do this for so long. They've been doing this for years, and people just love it. It's interesting. I think it is that addictive nature, trying to get the best team possible, but man, when they showed those odds, less than 1% chance to have one of those top tier players, yeah, you're going to be spending hundreds of dollars to get this. And, you know, that's just the way games are now. I played some Assassin's Creed last night, and the first thing you can do is, before you even start a new game, you can go into the store and you can go through all the microtransactions, and it's a different time now. It really is. Tuesday, we took a look at Project Stream from Google that will aim to allow anyone with a computer that has Chrome installed to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey. We don't really know how this is going to perform, but it is Google's shot at being able to stream games, and honestly, they have the servers for it. Velta says Super Mario Part instead of Party in the description. Yeah, I guess when I was typing it out, I forgot. It actually worked out, though, because what I figure I'll do is, you know, a few months from now, I'll add the Y as DLC, because I do think 4 letters, that's good enough for when this video launched. Adam Duke says, regarding the storage medium, couldn't they use 2 discs? You have to rip them to a hard drive anyway. And this is referring to the idea of the games getting so much larger anyway. And some developers have even technically complained about 50 gigabyte Blu-ray discs at this point. And streaming, obviously, you don't have to install anything. In fact, these games will probably start up in a matter of minutes, maybe even seconds in some case. And yeah, maybe we will get to that point, because we did see what was very interesting was people were pointing out that the Red Dead Redemption 2 case was kind of thick, actually. And we know this game is going to be over 100 gigabytes. It's possible, we haven't really heard yet, it's possible that could be multiple Blu-rays in a case. And what a time it is now, right? Where we possibly could have multiple Blu-rays where you have 100 gigabytes of data packed into a couple discs. It's really crazy, because now we're going back to where with the PS1, we had multi-disc games, and it's interesting. It really is to see how this evolves. I don't know if we'll get another storage medium. I mean, are we ever going to go past Blu-ray? Because we are kind of on that verge. Let's all be realistic here. We're on the edge for where digital takes over, and you don't have a storage medium because you just download everything. I mean, seriously, we're getting close. The interesting thing to think about, though, going forward, guys, I don't think Microsoft can remove their Blu-ray drive, which is weird. Technically, Sony could, because they're not into the backwards compatibility stuff, but I wonder if Microsoft can ever remove the disk drive from their system if they tout backwards compatibility to the point where you can put a disc in. They've said that several times. So maybe the Xbox will always have a Blu-ray drive, or Microsoft to go back on their backwards compatibility thing, or they'll just make it all digital and somehow you prove you have a disc. It's weird, right? We'll see. The next generation of systems is going to be very interesting. However, I think they will both still have a Blu-ray drive. It's going to be that next generation system, and we'll really see what the future of gaming holds. Wednesday, we talked about a big Harry Potter game, which was leaked randomly online, and Toys R Us was back in the news after canceling their bankruptcy in an attempt to revive the chain of retail stores. Guitar Man's 12887 says, as long as Toys R Us competes with low prices, I'm sure they'll be okay. I would hope so. Lots of childhood memories. The problem was they were so expensive, the competition was always preferred. That is going to be a problem because it's already a problem for other stores. Like even Walmart, who has always been a very low price store, Amazon's generally still cheaper, right? Target, same deal. Amazon is very tough to deal with for these stores, and it's interesting you say Toys R Us was expensive, because that seems to be the perception that they had, and I think that's because they did stock some of the more expensive toys, and they can't really put a discount on it because of how large their store was. They had a lot of overhead. They had a lot of employees, quite a few employees at the one that I would frequent, and just the location was huge. It was like Walmart size, and all they did was sell toys, really. So not really necessities, if you get what I'm saying. Like, Walmart has a lot of necessities. Some of them sell food, obviously. They sell toiletries, cleaning supplies, furniture, all kinds of stuff that you actually need. You don't really need toys. They're gifts, they're entertainment. So to run an entire big box store on stuff that's not required or needed for everyday living, it's kind of tough. And we'll see. I don't really know how they're going to come back, because they cannot undercut Amazon. They can only provide, hopefully, a good shopping experience and hope that your customers will be loyal to you. Thursday, we talked about the new NES games that would be hitting the Switch in October, which includes Super Dodgeball. We also went over some of the Mario Party reviews that hit Metacritic that day. David Figueroa says, it's really sad to see where the gaming industry is going. I like how back in the day, you would pay for your game, you would get the full game, no stupid patches, no expensive DLC that could have been in the game in the first, but was cut from it to make more greedy money. I know many will disagree with me, but I am willing to wait more months or even a year for a full, complete game, no patches like this horrible games as a service games, because if you think about it, the game is incomplete. The updates and extra patches are in your internal memory, not the cartridge itself. So this is just kind of the way that games have gone since the internet has really been introduced and really been given to developers as a tool. It's worked in some cases where games have been able to be fixed without having to recall or send out new discs, or you just get stuck with a broken game. That is a really, really useful tool for that, right? The internet to be able to push patches and fix bugs even as they're discovered, but it's a double-edged sword because, yes, you're right, they can hold back content. I've questioned the Spider-Man DLC as it is ready to go like a month after the game releases. We've questioned things like Capcom. In some cases, Capcom puts the DLC on the disc and locks it. So what can you do there? I mean, we just saw Soul Calibur have a beta character or a DLC character in the beta. So it's just the way gaming is now. It's a shame. That's just kind of the direction we're going in now. It's not all bad, because there are still games that come out that have pretty much the full game right there for you. Mario Odyssey, great example. They've added with the Balloon World thing, but the whole game is there. Like, they haven't updated or put DLC, which is interesting because that's a case where people want DLC. I would like to have DLC there. I would even say something like Breath of the Wild in its vanilla format is still plenty of game for the money, right? It is. I think Spider-Man is plenty of game as well, but the DLC thing showing up like that, yeah. God of War, plenty of game for the money. So there are still good examples, but man, there are some bad examples. And Battlefront 2, that set the whole thing up, and really everything really jumped off at that point. And now we're just looking at every company under a microscope to see if they're trying to get to that level. I will say, Ubisoft and Activision, they are getting close to that fly too close to the sun moment like EA did with Battlefront 2. So don't be surprised if they come under fire like EA did back then. Finally, on Friday, we saw an interesting patent for a Game Boy case that would be used for your cell phone to emulate actual buttons and controls. We also heard that Mega Man is going to transition over to the world of film with a live-action adaptation. Bobby M says, what does Dragon Ball Evolution have to do with video games going to movie? Dragon Ball was a manga turned anime. The problem was live action. It didn't even come close or come from a video game. Yeah, it's just me playing too many Dragon Ball video games before that, but Dragon Ball FighterZ, I've actually been playing that quite a bit on the Switch, because I've actually been enjoying it. It's fun. It's a fun game. But yeah, a better example, I guess, would be, the Mario movie is an easy example, right? Final Fantasy Spirits Within, you could say that as well, but actually, when that game came out, I didn't hate it as much as, or that movie, I'm sorry, when that movie came out, I didn't hate it as much as I think everyone else. Even Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, I actually like that as well. I guess you could go with Assassin's Creed movie, that would work, I guess. The Mario movie's the easy one. Yeah, video games don't generally translate over. I even heard the Ratchet and Clank movie wasn't that great, although I haven't watched it yet. I did hear the game itself was much better than the movie. But yeah, you're right. Dragon Ball Evolution was more of a stain on the series as an anime rather than the series as a video game product. Although, I mean, I look at Dragon Ball and man, I almost think of that more as a video game product now, just because there's so many games out there, and it wasn't until recently when Dragon Ball Super came back that we, really didn't even think of it that much as a manga or an anime. But yes, you're right. We'll go with the Mario movie, because that was That was just bad. And guys, that's going to do it here for the Saturday show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you liked the video, dislike it if not. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about. Maybe you picked up Mario Party and you want to talk about it down in the comments. Maybe you really like it. Maybe you think it's lacking some stuff as well. I'm curious definitely what your opinion is on that one and then everything else we talked about. We'll also be talking about a lot of this stuff, including probably that Switch revision tonight on the Spawncast, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you guys stop by and get subscribed so you get notified and everything for it. I'll see you guys then.